Hey, oh.
Hey, how thou doing?
We're going right, mate.
That's
we're
good.
we're battling. we are battling. Imagine showing up. Imagine showing up after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we do what we've got to do. Hey, yeah, I mean, it's an obligation, a privilege, and a curse at the same time.
Ain't that the truth? Fuck. But you know what? Sometimes you sign up for things and you've got to be, got to be a man of your word or your contract. I mean, we said we'd do the season and we're going to do the season one game at a time.
Yep, one game at a time. One game at a time. One game at a time. Stick fat. Right? I mean, nothing like being told by someone who is, nothing. There's nothing in the world quite like it. When I was younger, people used to say there's nothing more obnoxious than someone that hasn't lived a life telling you how to live a life. And as a 40-year-old man this year, there is nothing more obnoxious than a child telling me to calm down and stick fat with him. Nothing. I can't think of anything more obnoxious at all. It's truly fascinating, beautiful. It's poetic.
Yeah, we'll try. We'll try our best.
Stick fat. Quality. Hey, dear. It's good. It's good. I'll give Carlton's media one thing. If, in the unlikely event, I absolutely betray my moral code and, heaven forbid, do something horrible to my wife, like break my marital vows, I am looking forward that I've got the media guys on my contact book so I can call them and go, can you just try and word something I can say to my wife? She's caught me in bed with someone else. And I can't wait to front her as they tell me how to twist it and make it her fault. I can't wait. I was like, it won't ever happen, though, because I've got too much of a strong moral code and compass. But
well, look, the reality is we will stick fat. We will be passionately displeased and express our passionate displeasure until the end of the season, whatever that looks like. I mean, can't be 0-9, can it? Like, I mean, I know I say it can't be this and it can't be that a lot, but it really can't be 0-9, can it? I mean, it can, but it probably won't.
Hopefully not. Hey, we live in hope, don't we? We live. Yeah, we live.
We live, man. Like, we're here, and then you know what? One day we just won't be here. We all end up in the same spot. We talk about the corporates and the corporate interest and, who's got the money. At the end of the day, whether you've got the money or you don't have the money, we're all going to end up in the same hole in the ground.
So. Some of them holes, though, will be quite luxurious compared to other people's, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. So, ladies and gents, welcome to the ratings here on the Blue Abroad.
Hey, you know what? Shout out for whom it is who gives a little bit of sympathy to the media team. I genuinely think being in the media team must be the best gig in the world. I couldn't think of anything better.
Well, there's never a dull moment, ever.
Oh, mate. The only thing I feel sorry for him is you'd have to have zero to no morals to lie to 100,000 people. Like I've got a horrible conscience. Like, lying to my kids just about, like, like the tooth fairy and things. I get the mean guilt. So I've got a real bad liar's complex. So I'd be having sleepless nights. So I maybe feel sorry for that, because, like, medication's not good, but like, fuck me. Can you imagine doing it? Can you imagine being the guy? Just imagine the guy they send on Wednesday to go, can you just take some video footage of them training and then put it to some inspirational music? Imagine being that guy. Imagine. Oh, fair play. But honestly, there's some things I couldn't do. That's one of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, ladies and gents, we are going to go through the ratings. We are proudly brought to you by Horizon Finance Group. Talk about sticking fat. Now, this is a guy and this is a man who sticks fat with this show. So thank you very much to Nick.
He does really appreciate you.
Yes.
And it's been a bad day for Australians and context. So just remember, before anyone in the comments goes, Pom's pot shotting Cripps. Remember, if I was going to pot shot Cripps, I would pot shot him. I'm not taking the piss out of Cripps. I just find the fact that we've wheeled out our captain to have to, unfortunately, say something that anyone with two eyes knows he doesn't firmly believe. I just find truly fascinating. Credit to him, though. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got to do what you've got to do, and leadership comes with some hard tasks sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to be the messenger.
Yep.
And his hands are tied just as much as I think a lot of people's are. But you know what? All the love in the world to Cripps. I couldn't do it. Fair play to him.
Yeah. Imagine one day he just came out and said, you know what? Fuck you all. This is the problem. And until we address this, we ain't going nowhere. Imagine that. Imagine he went against the grain and just said, fuck it.
Tom Green did it. Tom Green, after their real poor performance last year, fronted the media and before he answered any questions. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that firstly, I'd just like to say I'm incredibly sorry that we've let down all the people that have travelled here and travelled with us home and away throughout the season, shown us love and support, because that wasn't the performance that really shows these words mean anything. I think he can do it. I know some. What?
It's funny you actually say that. Look what I've got loaded up for the Blue Abroad show.
Giants Army, thank you very much for the season that was. From our perspective, we're really sorry in that I suppose we didn't repay the faith that you guys showed in us all year coming out, your loud support. We really appreciate it. It's going to hurt. I know it hurts you guys. It hurts us too. And we'll do better for you next year. But thank you again, and your support means the world to us.
That's crazy that you just brought that up.
Yeah, it's something that I've got a little black book where I like to call it my rope that I will later hang someone with, later book. And that's always stuck out because I just thought a lot of people took the piss out of Tom Green in my circle, saying that he's vanilla, he's got no personality, you can't be a star when you're vanilla. And that's something that just stuck out when I saw him do that. I was like, you can... I don't think it's definitely not an Australian trait, and this isn't being like racist or cultural, but in my time in this country, accountability isn't normal. It's not normal anymore. It's more find the excuse for the reason that your account can't be accountable. And I think it goes a long way in today's generation. I think that's a global pandemic as well, accountability. But I think there is a way that you can front the media. And I disagree with people who say he's got to say that. I do think there's a way that you can actually say, look, you start with empathy. And I don't think Cripps means it. And I've spoke to Cripps at BNFs and at functions. I know he loves us and I know he respects and worships the fans and he's honoured to lead the club. But when you come across like that, the blanket way to take what he said is it's the fans' fault. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's a dig at the fans. And I think that a good leader has empathy. I think empathy is an incredible part of leadership. And I felt like that lacked empathy. I think you could have said we acknowledge why the fans booed us because they're frustrated and so are we. And then you can lead on to that bit of get behind us. We need you on our side to help us. But there's a way that you can word it. And the way that was worded, because that wasn't off the top of his head. That's been like, you're naive if you think Cripps woke up this morning and said that's what he's going to say. Cripps has been guided there. And that's a very carefully guide. And then I've seen people complain about Charlie Curnow. Interesting facts about Charlie Curnow, knowing the players. A lot of players will tell you quite openly, Charlie rides the bike most games. He lives 5 minutes away. I've got no issue with Charlie riding to the game because I know he's done it on the back of 4-goal performances, right? I have an issue that you choose to release it this week when he's had a very noticeable calf injury. And again, it's a little bit like Cripps. You've slightly manipulated reality to try and get your own outcome. So I would ask, I can never prove it, but I don't think you would have seen Charlie turn up at the game on a bike had he not had the calf injury. Because they've never done it before.
Yeah. Danny, was it the attitude that's the issue? Vossi gives them a spray and they turn it on in the fourth. North put the cue in the rack, but thoughts? I'm lost. We will unpack these sorts of things during the Blue Broad show. So this is the ratings. We've kind of spent 11 minutes chatting.
Sorry.
As a bit of a warm-up. No, it's fine.
I have a lot of feelings, Terry.
He
doesn't
totally
even
fine.
go here.
It's totally fine. We will get through the ratings as efficiently as we can. Try and get some context as to what worked. We'll rehatch what didn't work, and keep moving forward. That's the name of the game, is it not?
One finger, one thumb, keep moving. One finger, one thumb, keep moving.
Great kindergarten rhymes. Let's begin. We'll begin with Jacob Wiedering.
Jacob Wiedering. I've got to say, from watching this game the third time, that can't be good for your health. But I mean, the one thing that was apparent in this is that Jacob was under a little bit of cosh this game. He was in a lot of trouble. And I will say this, I thought Wiedering genuinely stood up pretty well under that duress. You can see here that how Carlton would play. And you can see here, look at how high some of these heat maps are for Wiedering. So Carlton have done the right thing. They've tried to get up the ground, try and pressure North's backline, key area that they need to improve. And I thought all in all, he did well. There was a couple of times that he got beaten. But you can see all of his one-on-ones, he did well. And I thought there was a real noticeability in that back line when he was there and then when he wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he was, to be honest, I thought that was the end of him for the season, the way that he come off the field. I think ultimately he was, and I might ask this question for every player, like, were they up for the fight? I think Jacob was up for the fight and he fought the fight. I mean, he was hindered a little bit as well, and maybe he was a bit sore, but I thought he was up for the fight. So he gets a 7 for his performance.
I did miss that Jacob Wiedering, less of a ball user, more of a defender.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did like it. Reminded me of the good old days.
Yeah. Then we move on to Jack Silvani. I think this was the first of its kind for Jack this year in defence, this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't his greatest game today.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think we talk about credits in the bank. Probably the worst phrase to use with this football club, to be honest. I hate myself that I've said it, but he has a lot of credits in the bank. He has a lot of credits in the bank. And this is just a bog standard defenders game that I would expect if you lose. Do you know what I mean? If you lose, like, there's a reason that you lose. You're under duress. And I felt like this was a lot of duress for a young man to be under. The usual things I see from Jack. The big question mark I have about Jack in this game that's just been incredibly critical. We can see his marks massively down and the spoils have jumped up almost. It did feel like this week that Jack was really in safety first message, like safety first. When it got bad, we saw he wasn't really backing himself to take the marks. He was going spoil heavy, and that's not a criticism of him. That's a very high level judgment of him, but he did what he needed to do. Was it good? No, but I'm sure this is a lesson that he'll watch the tape and go that the best way out of this is playing to my strengths, my one-woods, not backing the safe route. And yeah, it was a tough day for him, as it was a lot of them.
Just usually his timing is on point with things, and yeah, it just wasn't it for him. And like I said, I think this was the first time I've seen him play with this. It was like his energy was affected. There was something just off about him. Not that he played the worst game imaginable, but just not the same Jack that we've seen. So he gets a 5.8 for his performance. And then we move on to Nick Haynes, who was arguably, if not for sure, one of our best defenders, or if not players on the day.
Yeah, I mean, interesting one with Nicholas is at not one stage did he get like a lockdown defensive role, and the ease in which that they could move it inside 50. I felt like at times Charlie had to, Nick had to do something. Like I would have thought the most experienced head here. Yeah, it's all well and good freeing him up, and he had a great game freed up. I think sometimes you've got to like maybe rely on your senior players, your older players, your battlers. And I was quite surprised that he didn't get thrown into the furnace, because I don't think Carlton's transition game was really an area that many people could save, to be honest. But in that loose role, 10 out of 10, really. It's probably more of a situation that I've got an issue with, in my opinion. I feel like this is where it's not quite working down the back. You can see Jacob has had to kind of become a static one-on-one defender, which is usually Jack's job. Jack's had to go into that more intercepting role, and it's not something he's done for a while. And then you've got Nick Haynes there, he's Gandalf the Grey, isn't he? He's been there, he's done it. I would have thought this is where you pick up the phone and you go, Nick, great game, getting free, moving the ball really nicely, 100% efficiency. Go and lock one of these kids down, can you, mate?
Yeah.
And it never happened, but I mean, it's not Nick Haynes' fault. He only does what he's told, and he did that well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He got a 7.9 for his game. And we get to Oliver Hollands, young Ollie.
Yeah, so I mean, this is where you get that issue where you're a halfback, and in the preview we covered North Melbourne. They haven't been getting any sustenance, really. They seem to be able to get it kind of there, and there's no sustenance work. And I thought he had a bit of a nightmare with Kamza, with Curtis, the very canny players, Constanti as well. When that ball did get in there, and this week they started to get the ball in there, there was a clear structure on that. I felt like Ollie Hollands this is probably the worst forward line for Ollie Hollands, because Luke Parker, who floats through there, Constante, Zerha, Curtis, these guys are thugs. These guys are mean son of a bitches. And I felt that that's where he got found out, really. It's not Ollie's game.
Fair. 5.2 for his
They're
game.
tough, man.
Yeah.
Zerha robs Mars bars for fun. God bless him.
Yeah. And he eats steak like every day. Like
He did.
Have you seen his cooking?
I haven't. I try not to follow people on TikTok because I'll just lose respect for them.
Fair. Okay, we move along. We get to Sam Doherty, who received a coach's vote, I believe.
Yeah. Oh dear. I just before I came down here, I was sat on the toilet. Terry might have actually heard me because my mic was on, my camera was off. But I was chuntering away to myself, and one of the things that set me off was Sam Doherty got a vote. Now, I can understand it from a super coach point. This is where my one issue is with how we deal with metrics. Great video by the beautiful human being that is Woody, who talks about disposal efficiency and why it's the banter stat in the AFL, and it's an absolute fantastic video. Like, shout out Woody, because it is the most Mickey Mouse stat ever. But Sam Doherty, this is one that concerns me a little bit, and this has probably been harsh on Doc, but the last 4 weeks, we've seen when Carlton are under the cosh, there's the same types of players that the club bails out, and we give the ball to a lot. And this is all due respect to Sam Docherty, and I mean this with pure respect. If I had to rank the players out there from 1 to 23 of who do I want having the ball to control the game when we're in the shit, Sam Docherty would be somewhere between the bloke banging the drum in the cheer squad and me, right? He'd be here. And he gets it a lot in them situations. And this is no offense to Doc, but even when he was prime Doc, he wasn't a great executor of the football. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. He got a lot of the ball, though. Well done.
Yeah. He did. He gets a 6.2 for his game.
And yeah, it's hard to downplay you when you get nearly 30 touches.
True. Sardi. This was an interesting matchup. Seemed to be on Curtis for quite a lot of the day.
Yeah, he did. And the lockdown defending role strikes again. Very good on the intercept. Big issue I've got with Sard, and it's been my issue all year. I'll lie. It's been my issue with Adam Sard for 2.5 years. I'm not too sure why he's in the team if he's not playing to his weapons.
Yeah.
And he's not playing to his weapons. And he's for me, you're an alpha grade idiot if you're picking him to play as a lockdown defender. And you saw the deficiencies. Paul Curtis took him into deep waters, asked him questions, and Sard didn't have the answers. And when Carlton did need that zip, and you'll see with the ratings this week, the two cornerstones of Carlton's issues at the minute are halfback, massively halfback. And if Carlton have got to go with this midfield, has to be running halfbacks. That's the method to fix it. If you've got a slow, one-pace midfield, which teams have had, it's the halfback line that jettisons it. And at the minute, we're not even using the only guy who's quick. So it's a very poor game from Adam Sard.
Yeah. 5.5 for Sard. He played his 100th game for Carlton in this one. So, yeah. Young Matty Carroll. It's just a young Matty Carroll.
So these are the games that probably, I hate to use it, but these are probably the games where Matty Carroll is getting a crash course in everything that he's not very good at when he was in juniors. And hopefully it pays him back as the time goes on. The issues I had with Matt Carroll is I felt like he lost his man a lot. And Zerha and Curtis and Constante kind of almost flood the same area and they work away from that. And I felt Matt Carroll at times got totally lost with this. And there's a lot of times as well when Carlton won the ball back, Carroll's about 15, 20 metres away from where you need to be. What I do like about Carroll is there's a little bit of an intent there. I don't think he was physically overawed by Zerha. He looked like he enjoyed that aspect of his game. But at times it felt like he was kind of caught between where he should be and where he shouldn't be. And this is definitely a learning game for Matt Carroll because I feel like this is another game. If he watches the tape, he can maybe find out why and who he is.
Yeah. Play him next week? This week? Just keep playing him?
I have no idea. Would I personally? I would probably give him a spell and bring Jordan Boyd in. I think Jordan Boyd has been exceptional in the 7 weeks in the VFL. I think he's been very, very mature. Do I think he'll come in? No, I think he'll be here. I think Matt Carroll will play next week.
Fair. Gets a 4.7 for his game. And then we move over to Zach Williams, who played in a very different role than what we have seen.
Sometimes I think Michael Voss watches the show.
Yeah.
And then he does stuff and I'm like, he definitely doesn't. Unless he likes winding me up. Then he could be. Zach Williams on the ball this week. 18% on the ball minutes. Playing very out wide, high half forward at times as well. The Audi. Carlton have done something that I didn't think they'd do. Sam Walsh has gone. And Fantasia, Zach, and Motlop are playing this role. One thing that was really noticeable with Zach Williams being there, and I know people are going to pick on him because I think people see the $1 million salary and they think that he's worth that. I don't think he is. But what I really enjoyed about Zach Williams' game is you instantly saw the comparative difference between playing 2 Bulls and a ball user in Chera, as opposed to when it was Adam, Chera, Hewitt, and Williams, which is the traditional modern day way of playing football. You've got one guy that takes it on, one guy who uses the ball, and then one idiot who wins the ball for you. And you could instantly see how that dynamic totally changes how Carlton look. Because I thought Zach Williams in that first quarter when he was doing that, and then in the fourth, you saw having someone whose instinct is to get it forward makes everyone else move, as opposed to this backward step that Chera, Walsh, and now Cripps take when they win the ball. So I liked it. I thought he took his goal well as well. Bit of an energy. Does make me think, is this role something that the Blues watch this week and go, okay, maybe we've got something there. Maybe
I thought we found something here. I thought this was one of the few positives of the day. I thought he was good. I mean, I can see comments here. Hack Williams, he had 1 turnover for the day. So, like, what is that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, you can't. If anyone watched my review video, we're asking the board to stand down and do the right thing. We're asking the culture to change. You have Danny asking about attitude. Attitude is the foundation, the concrete of which everything great is built on. So if we are in a situation where we're blaming Zach Williams for this loss, Jesus.
I don't know. I saw a bit of light on this one.
Do you know what I mean? It's 100. He's not in the top 100 problems. His salary is. But I think what this showed is there's definitely a method, if Michael Voss watched this, to change that midfield up with in-house. You could get someone else. There is an option there. You saw how that looked different. Whether he takes it or not, I'm not too sure, but that was enjoyable to see something different who has played midfield more than once.
If there was, I mean, there's been plenty of games, I think, in Zach's time at Carlton to be critical of. I don't think this was one of them, personally.
Yeah.
So,
and you'll see, look, he's rating. We talked about it, 6.3.
Yeah.
We're looking for 6.5. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've had one person. No, 2 people. Haynes.
2 people.
Yeah.
So 6.3 for Zach. Hopefully see more of it. Then we get to the captain, Patrick Cripps. What happened on this one?
So Cripps were always quite interesting over the last 2 weeks. We've talked about it quite at length as well. There is definitely something that's happening, whether that's injury, whether that's instruction. I don't quite know what to put my foot on it, but there is elements. The faith in me suggests that maybe Voss is seeing you can't keep going Sandra Bullock in the midfield. Yeah, you have to have some gloss. Yeah, you have to add some elements. And this felt really interesting because when the game was on the line with Cripps, and this is not being critical of him too, well, it is, but I don't mean to be incredibly critical on him, but the amount of times Cripps got the ball and tried to take out George Hewitt with a bad handball, missed his overlap run. There was about 3 times in the second when Carlton had a 10-minute passage of play where they were the better side, they were getting the ascendancy around the stoppage, that he ignored the overlap run from Binns or the overlap run from Akers and chose to bang it on the boot and turn it over. This is the element here where he's either a role adaptation, Cripps is harbouring an injury, or something's not quite working for him. Yeah. And it's an interesting one to watch because he's got to work through this.
Yeah. I don't know if he's physically injured or if he is just mentally not clear on what's happening out there, if he's feeling the weight of it all. from my lens, my best guess is I think the weight of it all. I mean, if he carries a lot. He carries a lot of all of it, and he's the face of it, and he represents it. So when it is bad, when it gets really bad, he's one of the first few to have to stand in front of it and represent it. So I just looks from my lens, he could be injured. He could be playing through an injury, but again, I don't think he would make an excuse. So I don't think we're going to make an excuse for him.
I think the best answer is Blue Bagger. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah,
with him as well. I think part of it is him trying to do too much. It's almost like when he gets the ball in them situations, he's trying to hold the ball too long, and that's why because he's taken the contact too long, and then he's hit the ball into the foot of the player. He did it to George Hewitt twice. It's almost like he's waiting. Opportunity opens up, and then he's like, "I'll just wait a bit more." Oh shit! Bang, I've been hit. I've got to throw it on the boot. This is something he's got to work for, because I do think we're seeing an evolution from Cripps midfield to a team midfield.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it hangs on a bit too much.
Fair. 5.7 for Patrick Cripps. Then we get to Adam Chera. Copped a bit for his game on the fan cams afterwards.
This is fascinating, because I watch this and I make it a note of 5 players that I think are absolutely barbaric.
Yeah.
And that's without looking at anything. I like to combine data with the eye. We've got instinct. And Adam Chera was second on my list of barbaric players.
Mm.
And then I was kind of like, and then I spoke to a few mates, and then I spoke to a few people who were talking about how he did well on whatever fantasy thing they were talking about and how he stood out. The thing that worried me with Adam Chera here is that he's obviously been given the job to take over Carlton's midfield and be the primary ball user. And it's the second week in a row that I felt the game is going away from us momentum-wise, but it's not going away from us from winning the ball at stoppage. And when you're getting that many handball receives, 15 is a lot. That's elite. Yeah. It means you're getting it out in space from someone winning the ball. I feel like this week, I watched every game. I would say he was the worst player in the league, and that's BB Nice, who did that role this week, because I didn't feel like he set us up on transition. I didn't feel like we were ever going to get out of it. And when I look at players that do this role at other clubs, they're very good at metronoming the tempo. If you watch my St Kilda Collingwood video, I was huge on the 2 players doing it for Collingwood and Saints, had incredible tempo knowledge of, right, okay, this game's going to shit. I'll start spreading it. Okay, this game's going to shit. I've got my runners here. They have a real good understanding of when to go, when to not. And I felt like Ches is the first, when it starts to get a little bit hard tempo-wise, is slowing Carlton down, going the first to click. Safe button, and we just get overrun. And that's what North Melbourne did incredibly well. They won the ball, got it away quick. Felt like Chera was the biggest culprit at times.
Yep. 6.2. Then we get to George Hewitt, his partner in crime. His ribs absolutely rattled. I don't think I've seen George lose his temper and be undisciplined before, like what I saw in this game.
I've got to give a question mark to the midfield. There's a footage of play, I don't know if you've seen it, where TDK gets blasted into it. And Zach Williams and Hewitt, as that's happening, are having a chat to Cripps. Cripps calls them over. And that's my one knock, where I wanted a little bit of fucking come back. Like, fuck your stupid little conversation. Help him, then come back. There's the negative out of the way. What I really enjoyed about this game is this is becoming very traditional George Hewitt game. Felt like at times his midfield let him down because Jerry had really targeted him. And I think at times Jerry really struggled, really got the better of him. However, the things that I did like were he was constantly doing the right thing, win the hard ball, give give it to Chera. Feel like this would have been a better game if the players around him did well. But as you can see, look, all the metrics are in a positive way. And I think he was easily our best midfielder by a long way.
Yeah. 8.1. That is a very solid score for George. Fair enough. Blake Acres. That's a really unique heat map for Blake Acres.
Fascinating game with Blake. Real fascinating game with him because we're going to come on to him, but I've got a suspicion of why Michael Voss got angry at Binns. And this is the first person we're going to talk about to try and help Binns out. But he was lined up on Tom Powell at first, and we're going to talk about Tom Powell later because Tom Powell likes to shift from the wing back into the midfield. He's very versatile, very tough customer. This was weird, this role. It felt like he was getting a lot of ball in our safe exits, and as soon as he had it, and this guy's a mature player. He needs to hold the ground. And use it well. And you see a lot of them blues just towards midfield. That's where Carlton have exited, and he's the next kick.
Right.
And he's so slow to react. And the amount of times you saw Carlton get up to the halfway point, we've got like a 9-on-7 in the attack. By the time Blake has even chosen to make a decision, they've managed to commit men back and set their zones. So Blake's got to be a lot quicker. If he's getting that role, he's got to get rid of the ball quickly. And this was a more offensive role from him. But again, we're seeing no real increase in his attacking numbers, but we are seeing the similar defensive patterns from him.
He's frustrating when we're losing, that's for sure. 5.8 for Blake. And then we get to Binsey, which I guess would be a perfect complement to the Blake Acres discussion.
Yeah, so you can see here, I will predict what Voss did. So Tom Powell and Sheasel had moved up to the right-hand side of the ground in the third. And I have no doubt from watching this game 3 times and trying to scratch my eyes out that lip reading, Binsey, what is your fucking role? Binsey goes to respond and he goes, what is your fucking role? I have no doubt that that role was the run with role on Sheasel or Tom Powell as they crossed the midfield wing line, which he did do. Now, I have 2 caveats to that. I would trust a 5-year-old defending over Jackson Binns. And that's no offense to him. His skill set is the other end of the ground. And then 2, to play that role, you've got to get the meters gained. You've got to get the ball away. A lot of the times, Jackson Binns in that quarter, he muffed the kick. Muffed the kick. So I'm going to defend him here. It's not his fucking role. It's not his role. No one in the right mind would look at that list of players and go, Tom Powell, quite physical. Harry Sheasel, very elusive. I've got an idea. Let's get fucking Jackson Binns to be the last man to kick it and defend. He'd be the last guy. Mark Pitternet would be close to who I'd put on that role over Jackson Binns. That's no offense to Binns. His skill is the other end. I want them kicks half forward because if he does scrub it, I'll have men there to protect it. If he scrubs it back pocket, like that back pocket goal, there's 2 of them there. That's 7 points that he conceded in this role alone. It's not his role. Like, don't play him to it.
No, I mean it's tough because he's a youngish player, but again, he's representing the team and the club there. I saw him get burned a lot early in the game, and that might have something to do with the fact that when he did get the ball, he didn't use it well. I mean, he had 7 turnovers in this game himself. That might have some sort of context. That might give some context as to why he was then asked to play with a bit more of a run with mentality. It just Just wasn't.
This one hurts me a little bit because I like
Yeah.
Binsey. Binsey is a winger. Binsey got, 7.8 a couple of weeks ago, playing that attacking wing role. That's his role. That's where I want him because all of his negatives are fixed.
Yeah.
And, like to answer your question, Terry, looking at our handball Gibbs from contested situations, Binns is the guy I want on the end of it because I can protect the bad kicks. Unfortunately, Binns, what he's known for is that ability to accelerate all the way through to the fourth quarter and keep his width and give you the outlet. It's genuinely worrying that someone at the football club said, I'm going to give a defensive role to the guy that doesn't defend.
Yeah.
If it was VFL, if this was the VFL ratings review, I would applaud it because I'd be like, this is where he learns. He's got to learn. He's got to learn it. Game on the line, potentially you can win this game. You should be thinking you can win it. I don't get what we got out of it. I would have been putting acres on this role. I'd have been like, you're bigger, you're strong, you've got the pace, well, you've got the long-term running capacity to keep up with these guys. They're slowing down. Go and do it. I wouldn't have done it to Binsey.
Fair. 4.9 for Jackson Binns. And then we get to Cooper Lord, who was subbed out of the game.
When people go, oh my God, we lost Matt Kennedy, right? And then the same type of people say, oh my God, we lost Matt Kennedy. Oh my God, our midfield's slow. So you've already got your answer for your first pun. But then we've got a working example of why, oh my God, we lost Matt Kennedy, because wouldn't it be great he could play Cooper fucking Lord's role? What are we talking about? This is why Matt Kennedy is so happy to be with Luke Beveridge, because look at that heat map. He was the extra winger. Then he was moved down to the back. Then he was moved onto the ball very short. Then he was subbed out. Matt Kennedy 2.0. We have no idea what he does. The poor kid is game. And I hated seeing him. He looked like he was going to cry. There's two players that have broken my heart this week who I have a very personal connection to, right? Cooper Lord and Mateus Philippou are them people. To see them on the bench looking broken breaks your heart. Breaks your heart. And
you got Kennedy.
Yeah, and I love Matty Kennedy. And to answer Damien, he'd be getting centre bounce attendances. He wasn't this time last year when Voss started doing this. If you remember, we did 3 rating shows where he played halfback. So Voss has already shown his hand. Unfortunately, you're stifling the young lad here, because I feel like this was the game. If you were going to try and be creative, you say, right, big bollocks. Go in the midfield.
Yeah.
Go in the midfield. Give me something different. And I'm not too sure why he got subbed as well. Like, it wasn't going well, but this is where you could have maybe subbed someone who wasn't really performing their number one job, and you do it. I agree, Blue Bagger. What can he do? And this is very similar to when we used to do the Kennedy rating, where I was huge Team Kennedy. He was my boy. Give him a role, because ultimately this versatility nonsense is starting to really aggravate me. Stronger together is aggravating me. Stick fat is aggravating me. Number 3 is, isn't it great we're versatile? No, it's fucking not. In reality, every football club in the world, in this country, has 25 players that play a set position. And if it goes wrong, they can play a number 2 position. Why are we obsessed with making everyone play 4 roles? If you draft and recruit properly and develop properly, you have your midfielders, you have your wingers, you have your half forwards, you have your forward pockets, you have your back pockets, you have your halfbacks. It's very simple. It's why they have so many positions in junior football. It's actually starting to aggravate me with Cooper, because you saw a 2-week patch where he was getting that time. It looked good. He was looking okay at half forward as well. Credit to him. He'd learnt that. Why is he playing defensive then now? Like, we have a VFL for a reason. You learn your facets of the game that you need to improve. I don't want Cooper Lord learning to defend round 15. I don't want it. VFL him. It's diabolical, and it actually angers me.
3.7 for Cooper Lord, unfortunately. Then we get to Pito, who came in this week after a little while in the VFL. Was he in the first centre bounce?
Very worrying to me, the first centre bounce after last time. Even Clarkson admitted TDK beat Jerry. I felt it was a very bad precedent to see TDK full forward Pitternet there. And I was like, okay, I reckon this might be a problem. Matt Pitternet came in. Vossi kind of alluded to they thought the 2-ruck system would help. I don't think it does. I really do. I'm not a 2-ruck guy. I don't like it. This is why I don't like it, because I don't think TDK is anywhere near talented enough to play forward 60% of the time. Yeah. I don't think Pitternet is talented enough to do anything else other than ruck 40% of the time. I didn't like it, Terry. I really don't. Yes, he did what he always did. But again, look, he's not giving me anything else. And when TDK has this heat map, yes, sometimes the hit out win percentage isn't at the elite level, but everything else is overrun by his blues.
Right.
I don't get this role. Like, I don't get why, if you were going to do this, you just Lewis Young it, because you know TDK is going to do well in the ruck.
Yeah. Do you think there was an eye on managing TDK, making sure that his body wasn't too banged up?
I think when you have Michael Voss saying week by week, we're saying it, we're in a shitstorm, we can't keep losing games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're professional athletes, Terry. Play until you lose. Play until you lose.
There's that phrase David King's been saying recently, which I think is interesting. Maybe we'll talk about it when it comes to Tom. 4.3 for Mark Pitternet. Speaking of Tom.
What did Kingy say? Go on, aggravate me.
If you want to put your hand out, you got to put your hand up. I think it's a great quote.
I love it. And I mean, you look at the heat map straight away, it stands out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tom works incredibly hard. And, straight away, you look at the hit out win percentage, slightly down on AFL average. But for a guy that's only rucked 38.9% of the time this week, really strong numbers. Like, they're already better than Pitternet.
Mm-hmm.
I do see a comment in there, and I did hear it on the second time because I try and punish myself and listen to the commentary from Starboy. The commentators did say they think he's a ruck forward, and then they made some reference to Rowan Marshall. 2 different footballers, not even in the same bracket. Rowan Marshall is kind of maybe a forward, maybe a ruckman. CDK's shown this year when he's rucking, he's the main man. He can do it the entire time. And I really enjoyed the ruck passages. I think he gets lost in the forward line, and that's my issue with him.
Yeah.
That's my issue with him. I don't think he's a natural forward. And what's really I've enjoyed over TDK's 6-week block is him being the extra behind the ball. And it's almost like Carlton have done that old thing. Oh, he marks. I wonder if he can kick a goal. I don't like it.
Yeah. So Tom got a 5.4, and I saw someone ask for the Sherry heat map just to compare. We will do it later, but just for comparison, that's what the Sherry heat map looked like. So we've seen Pito's, we've seen Tom's. We will touch on Sherry a little later, but just to give you the context while we are here right now. So Tom, 5.4. Then we get to Alex Chincotta, who played on Mr. Daniel.
If Michael Voss ever rang me up for this game and said, right, Dan, I want the most 5 dangerous ball users. Right. Before I would have mentioned Caleb Daniel, I would have said Marnie Cohen, Kanga TV. When I'd started listing names off and he wanted me to say Caleb Daniel, he would have gone, who else though, Pom, if they don't play? I would have been like, Marnie? Where do you have Caleb Daniel? He's not actually on the fucking list. Sorry, Voss. Bizarre, especially when you see North fans complain about Caleb Daniel quite a bit. And again, we've gone back into that school, and I'm so glad the media have stolen it. That they've started to now say they hate tags where the tagger gets less than 10 touches. You heard it here first, people. What a fucking stupid thing to do. And especially on Caleb Daniel. And Caleb Daniel won the battle. And what happens when you leave Chinkot era? It's like clockwork. They all start ganging up on him. The amount of times I saw Alex in that forward half of the ground, and they've just played the handball game, and they're like kind of like treating him like the little brother. Oh, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. It's poor, and yeah, it's a bizarre one. Like Alex is wasted on that, and that's a poor game from Alex. To be fair, as well, he didn't really impact it.
Yeah, 3.4 for Chinkota, and then we get to Durds. Yeah. Also not his day.
My favourite line. This honestly, the two lines. If I was list manager of this club, I don't think many people would survive if Graham Wright said, Pom, I want you to cut this back as hard as you can. I think the half-back line and the small forwards, you would be lucky to see more than one on the list.
Yeah.
If he gave me the keys. And some of it's their fault, some of it's not. Durds, I was really excited about this game because last week, that second half, he was so engaged. He was so hard.
He brought a lot to that game last week as the sub. It was all set up for him to just continue on.
And it looked to me, I was like, okay, cool. This is a guy who's saying, Vossi, never again. Cardio. That's the best way I describe the first two we talk about. They did some cardio this week. And yes, I don't like the way our small forwards work. I don't like the way that he positions them. But also, fucking get involved, man. Like, do something. Like, sometimes I look at players. Maynard is one of my favourite players to ever watch. Because when he's playing shit, he just fucking hits someone. Do something. Impact. Hurt someone. Do something. Impact. Make them know you're there. And I felt like at times Durden was waiting for that Joda Goose. I'll kick 2 goals. Happy days. The intensity you brought the week before is the intensity I need to see every day.
Yeah. It wasn't there. Disappointing. 3.9. And we get to Lockie Fogarty. Second week in a row, I think he's played in this way.
Yeah, came out of the blocks. Hot.
Yep.
He looked like he was going to do the business. I love the way he presented. One of the few players when the game was down was presenting still, was like, you know what? I'll put my head over the line. And I always say this. I was speaking to someone close to the club this week, and I said, if you're not willing to put your head over the pulpit, you'll never get yourself out of the shit.
Yeah.
And if you don't put your head over the pulpit when it's tough, you'll never put your head over the pulpit to do the exceptional. Same thing. Doing the difference between being a hero and an idiot is you were in there. You were doing it. Big thing, though, that I'm going to have to pick on him. Some of them misses, bro.
Oh, in the first quarter especially. Oh, my goodness. Lockie.
It's a momentum killer, man. It's a momentum killer. You've got to make sure at this level. But he's crumbing. Exceptional. He's tackle inside 50. One of the few people who so far this year has shown me you can defend, you can attack.
Well, I mean, he played well last week. I thought he was active and he fought the fight in this game. I know that he missed his opportunities and he had a couple of them and should have done better and the like, but I didn't come out of this game like I did with some of the other guys, like Durds, for example, who you just barely saw them. Like I thought Fogarty was trying to fight and create.
Yeah, you know, see what I said about Durden and Chinkot. Yeah. You've got to find a way.
You have to.
got to find a way. Roy Keane gave us that great quote. When I kept misplacing passes and I wasn't in form, I thought, fuck this. I'm going to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've got to think like that.
So, Fog 6.4. And then we get to Orazio Fantasia. I liked his game for what it's worth.
Yeah, so you'll notice, like, obviously we show you the possession heat maps, so they're always a little bit different to where they start the ground. So you might actually look at the first 4 people. You can actually see that the small forwards started getting the ball more when the game was behind the 8 ball and Carlton were frantically defending. One thing I really did enjoy about Orazio's game today, I know he cops a lot of stick, but head and shoulders above his peers, Orazio Fantasia, head and shoulders above his peers. And why was that? He found a way to do something to try and find a way. It wasn't a small forwards day, but he tried to find a way. And the big area he did was he hung around the pack. So where Fogarty gets some praise, he worked hard. He went and presented. He worked out, okay, cool, what I'm going to do, I'm going to present, I'm going to give an option. Orazio, genius. Curnow couldn't mark anything. Half forwards couldn't mark anything. So he stayed at the feet and he won the ball at ground level. I like that from Orazio. Tried to get the game going forward. Few times he fucked up the inside 50s, but then he'd deliver an exceptional pass down the back pocket, out the forward pocket. Did like it, took his goals well as well. This was an interesting one for Orazio because we saw him have less of the midfield time. And you actually saw people, I think, downplay it. And they try and make small forward sound like it's an incredibly hard job, but it's not if you know what to do. He executes the basics.
Yeah. Is this similar to what we would see Matt Cottrell's role be?
Yes and no. I think you'd see with Matt Cottrell, you'd see a lot more hard running. And Carlton have got to spread it. But I kind of do like that they are spreading the Walsh role. To answer your question on spreading roles, it probably would be, but unfortunately, we need a small forward to do this. This would be my bare minimum of all of them. Win the ground ball.
Fair.
Like, I don't care about leading and marking. Win the ground ball. Be there. Put the pressure on. It saves us. I did like that he was willing to do that. Fair.
So Orazio gets a 7 for his game, and then we get to Jesse Motlop. Is that one possession in the forward 50?
Yeah, but to be fair, when he came on at the worst time in the football club, didn't
he? Well, yes, he did.
But he worked. I mean, this was an interesting one. See what I said about Durden here. I think if you had to tell me who was better, Durden, I think Motlop won that award. I thought Motlop showed me more in the short space of time he was there.
Well, was this what Durden did last week when he was the sub, wasn't it?
But when I compared Durden to Motlop's sub game, Durden was a lot more alive. Like, he got the jump time goal. And let's be honest, that fourth quarter, Norfolk queued in the rack. Clarkson's already covered that. He wasn't happy about it. And Carlton tried to save face, and he was one of the guys, lo and behold, who kicked that goal. The thing that got me is I think he was better than Durden this game. I didn't see that fire that Durden had last week, and I felt like he really needed that because the last time he played small forward, he kicked some nice goals. This week, it did feel like I think it would be a really, really bad game if he hadn't had that red time goal.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, he gets a red time score, given he was the sub, and that's 3.1. And then there's Mitch, who, for the second week in a row, presents as an accurate kick at goal, even though, oh man, his first quarter, I think it was his first goal, the one where he tried to play on. Just even when we kick goals, it's stressful.
This is one of them games where, if you watch all the content we've ever done, I hate two key forwards.
Right.
I don't believe in superstar key forwards. And this is why. If you've got one guy who just does this, just leads well, presents well, works the lines, it doesn't really matter what the other twat does. Because this is the Jack Darling role. And if you remember last year, I was saying Jack Darling's one of my favourite players to watch because he does the boring things. He just is the second. He's the perfect second in command for your heroic one. I really like Mitch's game. He led well. He led into the right channels. You saw why he was originally bought as a forward. This reminded me of his 2016, 2017 Brisbane, Adelaide career of where he stays deep, he leads late. Couple of brain farts at the start of the game, playing on. I'll forgive him, though. I'll forgive him because he did score the goal eventually. But I did really like the fact that this guy led every moment of the game. Every moment of the game. When it was, his head didn't drop. When the third quarter hit, we'll talk about him in a minute. I saw the light go on. Okay, these fucking dickheads are going to kick it long and shallow. They're going to expect me to beat 4 players. You know what? Fuck them. Fuck them. I'm just going to see the game out. Mitch never had that attitude. Mitch said to me, you know what? I'll keep battling. It's shit. It's horrible. I'm not going to kick goals doing this. But you know what? I'll present, man. I'll make the mistake. Like I said earlier, sometimes you've got to put yourself in the position to be a dickhead if you want to be a hero, because it's the same process. You've got to do it. And I thought Mitch did it from start to finish. I was very impressed with Mitch.
I have liked his last 2 games, and I think he just needs to learn, I guess, quickly to embrace the fact that he's now a forward. I think he's our most dangerous forward as we speak right now. So,
yeah,
fair play to Mitch.
You know what I did like? There's a couple of things that I saw someone comment. If you actually notice, there was a couple of errors he made inside 50, but he was giving them off to players that need the confidence.
Yes,
like,
you could see.
That shows an emotional maturity of, fuck, he's playing shit. If I can get him a goal, he might. And that shows a little bit of maturity as well. Great players do that. Good forwards.
He is selfless. He is certainly a selfless guy.
I enjoyed a bit of Mitchie.
So that's an 8 for Mitch. That's very good. As we move along to Charlie, man. Charlie's on his bike.
Yeah, so the context, I will answer this. I have no issue with the bike picture. So some people were saying you can't.
It's an overreaction. It's a nothing. It's a non-story. Yeah.
I want people to heed these words. I'll say it slowly. I have no issue with the bike picture because he does it every game.
Yeah.
The issue I have is it was blatantly released to validate the fact that most people were questioning he had a calf injury. So I know, well, I don't know for facts, but I am 99.9% certain the reason it was shown this week, even though he does it all the time, was because there was all that speculation, is he fit, all that mistrust with the injuries. They released it to kind of say, well, if he rides to work, obviously his calf's good. And that's what annoyed me, because I felt that was incredibly poor management, because my brain said if he plays shit, people are going to say, well, if he's riding to work on a bike, he's not professional. He's not prepared himself. But Charlie does it all the time. So I didn't like that. I felt like that was poor management by the club. So no issue. I know he rides to work every day. So I have no issue with it. Let's talk about his game. Fuck me. Sweet. Like, I want to make this clear. Charlie, if you ever watch this, I do genuinely love you like a son. So I'm going to speak to you as if you're my kid right now. But if I am Conor McGregor, I have won the 2 titles. I'm the working class hero. Raps, please, baby. I am a working class hero. I will get out of the fucking poverty was another sportsman. It's Charlie Curnow. I don't know what is going on with Charlie Curnow. I don't know if he believes in the hype. I don't know what fire has died. I don't know how bad the injury is. But everything about Charlie at the minute is striking me as he hates it. And there's a passage of play. The first quarter, I really enjoyed how hard he was. He was. People won't have it, but the first quarter, he was leading in the right zones. When Carlton's ball movement started to go laconic, slow, and deep, Charlie Curnow checked out. I saw it in his eyes. He checked out. Couldn't he be fucked? And I don't like saying about players, but he didn't care. He was over it. He was mentally over it. He was like, I ain't doing it today. And I don't know why. I don't know what happens in the dressing room, but I will read that press conference and his body language, right? That body language he had when he talked about the game style and could they do it for 4 quarters? His reaction screamed to me, yes, we could. I would love it and I would enjoy it. He looked like a guy that is hating life and mentally is doing just enough to get by. And that's not what made him a great player. And I'm genuinely worried about it.
I said it last week, he doesn't have an inspiration or an empowerment about him. The game was taken away from him early in his career. We didn't have him for a couple of seasons. And I think in that time he learned how much he loves footy, and he came back and he had this point to prove to either the world or himself that he could still do it at the highest level. And he's just lost all fire about him. Like, he is the source of the energy when when he activates, the team activates. He has had that power in the past. And for whatever reason, whatever's going on, I think he will have a big say in what the answer is if we're talking about what's the truth.
And see what I said about Durden. What I've criticised the other guys about. You got to find a way to do something.
Well, you got to fight it out. That's true.
But you got to find a way to do something. And like my issue with Charlie is I couldn't give less of a shit about tackles inside 50 and things like that.
Yeah,
it's how you go about it. It's how you go about it. And at the minute, it feels like I'll kick 2 goals, I'll kick 3 goals. And remember, 6 weeks ago, I was complaining about Charlie. I did a whole video dedicated to it. It's almost like there's a mental checkout point. Once I get 3, okay, I've done my work, baby. The old Charlie was, I've got 3, I want 4. I've got 4, I want 5.
Yeah.
I will do it. And he's not even competing. Like, to answer Tatum, he's not even competing with it. He's not even fighting to get in the front. And go and watch the second half. There was leads that I was thinking 2023 Charlie runs fucking hard, bashes the dickhead out of the way, gets in front, uses his skill. He just kind of like jogged, man. Like, jogged. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
and
no disrespect to Toby Pink, and no disrespect to North's defenders. Who came on the fan cam? Only Carlton. Yeah, it's like I had to Google Toby Pink.
Yeah, I love Only Carlton. He's a good lad. I know he was saying that facetiously. But I mean, I agree with him. These are the games that Charlie Curnow looked and said, "I'm going to have 6, 7, 8 on him." And
it's officially gotten to him, hasn't it? Like the Carlton.
You know what? I need to caveat this. I don't give less of a shit about Charlie's defensive efforts, right?
Yeah.
I don't give less of a shit. What I care about is how he is productive to us is he kicks 50, 60, 70 goals. And what I'm seeing right now is even before we get into the defensive efforts, what he dines out on is his attacking efforts. And his attacking efforts don't even have the same energy.
Yeah.
Don't even have the same energy. Like, you watch him, like that second half, Terry, 4 of the inside 50 entries, he gives up on 2, Terry. Like, you can actually see he stops sprinting to it, kind of just says,
Well, he's our vice captain.
Yeah. Spawn Albert. And it's Conor McGregor. It's Conor McGregor. Look at Conor McGregor. Wins 2 world titles, different weight classes. He's fearless. He's ferocious. Listen to the venom in his voice. He would kill someone if you dare stand in the way of him winning a title. Listen to him now. He's gone from, I'm going to get out, I'm going
Oh
to
my
make
God.
something of myself, to I've made it.
I'm doing the Gillette. He's doing the Gillette shaving ads. Oh boy, I just clicked. I think Murph did one of them late in his career towards the back end. I think Walshy's done one. Oh dear. It's the
Yeah,
first
I
of the
mean, just a
Gillette
quick
ad.
message to Enzo. Please listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying defensive efforts aren't important. So I'll say it again slowly. I couldn't give less of a shit about his defensive efforts at this stage because how he usually gets away with it is his offensive efforts are 10 out of 10. At the minute, his offensive efforts are 2 out of 10 and his defensive efforts are negative 10. I know he doesn't like defending, but how he gets away with it is if he kicks 75 goals, no one gives a fuck if he has 0 tackles inside 50. So the big issue I've got with Charlie at the minute is he doesn't even look engaged to do the things he likes doing. So if he doesn't like doing that, got no fucking chance in hell of getting the guy to defend, because the old Charlie, when you all used to cry he had no tackles inside 50 and tried to make a case for Harry ballsing up 10-meter kicks in front of goal going, oh, but he had 3 tackles inside 50, right? He doesn't even want to do the bit that fucking got him the Colemans. So this again, I ask, on the leadership group,
he's not a vice captain. That's right. He's not a vice captain. He's in the leadership group.
I love his charisma. I love his quirkiness, but you can't check out, man. We need him, and he is checking out. And I part of me wonders, because this is a Voss issue. This is a Voss issue. He's the motivator. He is the motivator. He's got to find a way. Your boss, regardless of what anyone says, when I used to train managers in industry, that was the big thing. I don't care what you say about your staff. Your job is to inspire them, is to unlock it. Because most people are lazy. They're not self-motivated. They're happy working at Coles for 50 hours on a medium wage and then complaining when they can't do it. Because putting yourself out there is hard. Inspiration puts you out there. Inspiration. He is not being inspired. Like, I am watching Charlie, and I don't say this loosely. His impression of his game at the minute is he's got a calendar at home saying 120 days till the season ends. This morning he woke up 119. That's how it feels, and that's not the Charlie we love. Because the Charlie we love got 2 knee injuries, came back, and when he fucking came back, he came back with a hunger. He came back with a desire, and that is what's scaring me. Because Charlie, I've spoken to the guy. That guy isn't emotional. That guy isn't that. There is a way to motivate him, and he looks. You know what he looks like? He looks unheard. He looks unheard. I am watching him play, and I think it's a silent protest. I think he knows what the problem is. He's not heard. He's not been listened to. That's how I feel. When I look at Charlie, the gypsy in me says he's not been listened to. So now what he's done is he's shut down.
Well, it gets a 1.9.
That is the worst score ever on this. So before anyone goes, oh, Pom likes Charlie. Pom would never say anything bad about Charlie. He now officially owns the worst score ever.
Yeah. Well, let's have a look at the team. Bruh.
I mean, what do you say, man? What do you say? If your halfback line is having that much opportunity to rebound, got problems. You've got problems. You've got problems. Like if Ollie Sard are churning out that shit, you're in trouble. If your midfielder is having an above 7.5 and winning a lot of the ball, and the guy who's receiving it is having a 6, and the guys who are spreading are in red, you've got huge problems. If your rucks are being average, you're in trouble. And then if your keys and your smalls, that's bad, man. Like, I don't care what Voss says. And you know what? I'm not potting Cripps here. I can only pot his words. I can't assume what he is as a man. But if Patrick Cripps is saying they're trying everything they can, they're not. They're not, because that middle tier, 99% of the stats that make up their numbers are effort based. That's poor. That says to me that two of them have tried to where we'd expect AFL level. The rest haven't. Forward line is Mickey Mouse. And honestly, you know what? I wish I had the ability to use like our backline did, because I wouldn't have spent 4 years being a heroin addict because I couldn't have used. I would have missed my veins and fucking hit someone else, so I wouldn't have any health issues now. Absolute, but like barbaric, as bad as it is. Like the one thing I'll give Cripps is, if I was part of this team, I wouldn't have had anything in my body to front up the media this week. So I would have been so ashamed in myself and the people around me that I couldn't have actually brought myself to say anything other than we're all a bunch of fucking useless cunts that don't deserve you and we're sorry. That's all I could have said. I could have said, I'm genuinely sorry. We don't deserve we don't deserve the criticism. We don't deserve your time, because we did give up. We got bullied by a team that was desperate to win, and we're sorry. I'm really sorry. But that's what I would have said.
That I can not get. I can process the fact that the first half of the season was clearly a sign that we hadn't improved from last year. Like, sure. But are we now saying it's unreasonable to expect improvement from first season into second half of given same season? Like, is it just going to continue to not improve? Like, nothing? Like, nothing at all?
Like, you can have all the tactics in the world. If you don't have the cattle, that ain't going to be it.
Okay.
If you do have the cattle, you can tactically set them up like an idiot. I think there's a real big disconnect. Like, if you ask me, what do you think it is? I think there's a disconnect. I don't think anyone's honest at the club. I think a lot of them are probably saying to Voss, oh, do you like playing like this? And they're like, yeah, we do, Michael. Yeah, we do. We do.
And then they text each other and say, I fucking hate the way we play.
Yeah, I reckon that happens. I think there's an element of, do you think that we should be half line heavy, transition football? Do you think two balls doesn't work? And I think Voss is like, no, two balls works. It worked in my time. Works in my time, it'll work now. I think the list management isn't quite cohesive with how we set up, because I would question it. And then I look even deeper. Nick Austin was heavily raved. If you look at forums, him and Ned Guy were the two people talked about to go to Collingwood, because Nick Austin built the Dogs list. So he is quite a good list manager. Andrew Russell was interviewed by the Olympic Commission in the Great Britain to take over the full fitness. He's worked with gold medalist Olympians. He came here, he was shit. Cut, heavily sounded out. Came here, he was shit. So there is obviously an element here that I would say it's so much deeper than the players. It's so much deeper than the coaches. There is definitely an element that it's not conducive to be expression. That would be the first thing. I don't think there is passion or expression in this club. And since I've been here, I don't think I've seen anyone since 2014, with the exception of Dennis Armfield, go out there on a day and be expressive, be quirky, be weird. I've always seen vanilla. When the players speak, vanilla. When I'm at function, they talk to me, I have to physically hold myself engaged in that conversation, because it's boring. With the exception of 2 or 3, it's boring. It's bland. It's vanilla. I feel you're seeing it on here. I feel like the best we are, this list, the best it could be, playing at its full potential, is 8th to 9th. because without that je ne sais quoi, you don't go anywhere in life. And everyone's a little bit weird who's successful. Anyone who's happy is weird. They're quirky. Anyone you see with happiness, there's an element of weirdness about them, should be embraced. And the big thing I'll see is I'm looking at the top sides, Collingwood, Brisbane, they fucking enjoy it. And I am seeing 22 guys that since that final that they lost last year, I don't think they've ever truly enjoyed it.
No.
And if you don't
Not up for it.
What's it like when you're at work? When the boss doesn't listen to you, you know you're going nowhere fast. All you've got to look forward to is 5:30 to come home to your wife and kids, or your husband and kids, or your husband, or on your own. How depressing is life? Like, how sad is it? How sad is it? And you're not going to do anything exceptional.
No. All right. Let's move along.
Sorry.
The main riser of the game was George Hewitt from his performance last week.
Which
Really?
is very bad. Like,
Yeah,
you've improved by 2. Whee!
That's not good. Oh my goodness. Okay, and I guess the player of the game was also George Hewitt, which is not a surprise for this year. But well done, George. Hey,
Got some good news for you with the next slide, though.
wow, the Horizon Finance 1%er of the game was Jack Silvani. Okay, so it wasn't all
4th
that
in
bad.
the league this week.
Really? Okay, so it wasn't all that bad.
I feel like you're Michael Voss now. I feel like
As in for
this is
Jack.
a conversation Michael Voss
No.
and the data analyst have.
Yeah,
I paint a picture of his whole shit, but you pick up on the one good. Yes, it's not all bad. There is some good things there.
You did something well. Oh dear. Bless Jack. Shall we look at some North Melbourne players just to rub it in?
Hey, look. The best way you can learn in life is learn by people that beat you.
That's true. And this young man definitely beat us. Luke Davies-Uniacke. What did you like about his game?
Inside midfield extraordinaire. This is the next level. So this is why when you see Hewitt wins a lot, gets a lot of good votes, and he gets them 8s. And then you're looking for that next je ne sais quoi. And that's probably an 8 for George Hewitt is a 10 because he's maxed out everything tough. What LDU is really showing me, and I've been complimenting him. I did a video of LDU a couple of weeks ago for North Melbourne about they really need the sustenance. They're really close. They're doing the right things 9 out of 10. It's them moments. And if you want to be great at anything, you've got to be honest about the moments you fail. And that's something that I think Clarkson's done really well in this 4-week passage. He doesn't say we're doing well. The energy's there, the motivation. What he's doing is he's picking on the moments that lost him the game.
Yeah.
And that's, some people say, oh, it's too picky. If you want to be good, pick on the things where it was bad. You'll get the good result. LDU is personifying that. He works hard. He leads his team in attack and defense. I loved how he worked. Had the same handball receives as Chera. Not as good ball user traditionally, but he got them moving. When Carlton got on top, LDU fought back. When they got on top, he flew. Incredible game by LDU. Real good game.
Well done. 8.5. Tom Powell was the other one. Yeah, he was excellent on Saturday.
Oh, dear.
I'm glad you brought him up.
So my favourite role in the AFL, and one that I like to be versatile with, we talk about that versatility, it does my head in. But in a team, you want someone who can, I think that extra midfielder has to be a guy that can ghost on the out wide. And he gets 85% inside time, then rests on the wing. So he's still resting around the mids. And I think he's sensational. He wins the tough ball, Terry, as you can see. But he can also go out there, and this is what I'm talking about. Him versus Chera, the guy that's the ball user, the guy that's going to have the time of his life. Tom Powell, you noticed from start to finish. Did you not?
So is this 21 handball receives?
Yeah, so LDU's doing the hard bit, getting it out to this guy in a bit of space. And I agree with Tatum Tantrum. He's Ned Long levels. And that sounds like an insult, but when you are given the respect and the responsibility, that's where we start to see if you are a good human being. Because a good human being would never fail with responsibility. Only a selfish human being fails and lets people down on a responsibility. Tom Powell got the respect, got the opportunities, been in and out of this side over the last few years. He did everything he needed to do. He read the Carlton handbook. Well done. Good game.
Well done to Tom Powell. And then finally, we looked at his heat map earlier, but Tristan Sherry, who we feared going into this match.
So from an AFL ratings point of view, from a POM ratings point of view, the guy that had the harshest job, thank you very much, Mrs. POM, I love you. The hardest job from a ratings point of view was Tristan Sherry. He had a nightmare. He had Pitternet, who does very well, traditionally in the Ruck one-on-one, and then he also had TDK, who historically, the last couple of times, has got the better of him. I thought the way that Tristan Sherry played this game was nothing short of absolutely impeccable, and I am surprised he wasn't in the coach's votes. I would have put money on it, because if I was his coach, I would have been incredibly impressed with how he handled it. And he did incredibly well on his hit-outs, but you know what really impressed me was his annoyingness, his pressure. He played the game. The hit-outs he lost, he got hard on the ground. He made it hard for Cripps. He made it hard with Hewitt. And this is the area we've been talking about a lot on how to beat Carlton. Cut off that exit from the midfield when they win it. And Tristan Sherry this week sacrificed his usual sexy game to make sure he did it. And that's a clear game plan instruction from it. I've got to give him the props, because even though it wasn't a great Ruckman's game, he killed Carlton's ability to do anything from the stoppage, almost single-handedly at times. So, great player. Him and Darcy Cameron, miles ahead of any other Ruckman in the competition, with the exception of Gawn. But I think he already gets too much glaze. For me, them two are fucking, yeah. If I was a list manager and you said, Pom, I'll pick any Ruck, I'd be fighting between Jerry and DC.
Fair. Usually the ratings gives me helps the process. That one didn't. That one.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's that one just helped dig into the wound.
If you get shot, Terry, and that bullet's lodged between your ribs, you've got to put your fucking hand in there and pull it out, mate.
True. That's true. I mean, there's 9 games left. 9 more ratings. Oh, we haven't seen the worst of it, have we?
I can't answer that, Terry. My balls are hairy, not crystal, so I can't look into the future. Could it get worse? Don't say it, because, mate, honestly, it can always get a lot worse.
We haven't even had the full 19 goals in a row type.
Well, I always say to you, you can never compare your trauma to someone else's, because the worst thing that's ever happened to you is just the maximum of that trauma scale. But there is a trauma scale. We just don't hopefully ever experience it. This is as bad as it could be for this moment in time. But that's all I can say. This is as bad as it could be. This moment.
Oh man.
But I would be doing you an injustice if I did this ratings and added some gloss and gave some 10s and told you everything will be all right. Because it isn't going to be all right. If we keep going this way, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. The only way out of it is to accept it's a problem and we fix it. That's where I'll say stick fat. If someone admits the problem and shows you the fix, that's where you stick fat.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't
that's-
just stand there and go, oh, if we stay together while this house burns down, the fire won't fucking kill the entire family. It will.
Yeah.
If you stand in the middle of your house when it's on fire, go, if we just hold each other, it'll be all right. You're all dead. The only way out of that fire is you take the youngest and the most vulnerable out first, and the strongest gets out last.
We're being
And that's
told,
what we've got to do.
well, yeah, we're being asked to buy in. It's like, okay, will you buy in? They weren't bought into this game, were they? Can anyone reasonably?
I think they were for patches, and I think what you saw is when the momentum shifted, you just saw you saw everyone run home to mum, and unfortunately, mum was at work.
A wise man once said, "It's what you do, not what you say. The members won't judge us as they see. The members won't judge us until they see how we perform on and off the field." That was from Brian Cook, 22nd of November, 2021. Ain't that the truth?
It's quite depressing.
Yep. I'll get onto more of that at 7 p.m. But
football, eh? What
footy,
a crazy
that's
game.
it. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Yeah. Pommy, thank you very much. That was excellent by you, as always. Chat, thank you for being here. Horizon Finance Group, thank you for sponsoring the show. See you at 7 p.m. Go Blues.